#1 seller of video games right now is Call of Duty for the last 9 years in a row. If you've ever watched that, you can see how much violence it exposes to them too.
The idea of these video games to dehumanize individuals, to have a game of shooting individuals and others, I've always felt that is a problem for future generations and others.
We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace.
The internet makes things much more real and more immediate for so many young people. And we are going to have to figure out what we can do in terms of education, in terms of initiatives that let people know just what the consequences of violence mean.
The best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
We can't reduce violence in our communities without a professional, well-trained, and fully funded police force. This includes gun violence.
The teacher would have a concealed gun on them. They'd go for special training, and they would be there, and you would no longer have a gun-free zone.
One thing we do know for sure is that these shooters are invariably mentally incapacitated. Mentally incapacitated. This is a vexing problem that is extremely hard to identify in advance.
Most of these problems have a lot to do with mental health. Count me in for addressing that issue.
Mental illness and hatred pulls the trigger, not the gun.
When you have language that is racist, that is virulently anti-immigrant, there are mentally unstable people in this country who see that as a sign to do terrible, terrible things.
Today, I have issued an executive order suspending Scott Israel as the sheriff of Broward County. Suffice it to say that the massacre might never have happened had Broward had better leadership in the sheriff's department.
When 8 BSO deputies listened to shots fired in the school and stayed outside, they were following Sheriff Israel's policies.
I want to say to the elite of this country, the elite news media, the liberal academic elite, the liberal political elite, I accuse you in Littleton and I accuse you in Kosovo of being afraid to talk about the mess you have made and being afraid to take responsibility for the things you have done, and instead foisting on the rest of us pathetic banalities because you don't have the courage to look at the world you have created.
ISIL has leveraged those freedoms to their advantage to attract misguided individuals who carry out acts of hate.
We need a strategy to defeat ISIS, which is the inspiration for these homegrown attacks here at home.
The people of Orlando responded to this unimaginable tragedy with unity, courage, and generosity. They came together in a time of crisis to get things done that had to get done. Here in Congress, we must react the same way. That starts with closing the terrorist gun loophole.
I guess the lesson of Orlando, the lesson of San Bernardino, the lessons that we've learned all across America with these horrible mass shootings, we need to do a better job in America keeping guns out of the hands of those who would misuse them. Felons, mentally unstable, and people with a terrorist connection have no business owning guns in America.